Hello everyone, it's me, your average bonehead, Jay. Poppy Playtime. It's been a while, hasn't it? Yeah, sorry it's taken a while for me to get back to this game, but with the recent announcement of Chapter 5, what better way to kick off the new year than to talk about, honestly, my favorite chapter of this game, and what I, and hopefully many, consider the best chapter of the game. Chapter 3, the chapter that really proved that this game deserved its horror label outside of just having jump scares. A chapter designed to make you feel uneasy, as well as a bunch of other emotions as well. Yeah, I can't really beat around the bush on this. I absolutely adore Chapter 3, and I have very little problems with it outside of a few technical issues I ran into that I'll explain when I get to them. But despite all that, this is a damn near perfect horror experience. At least for me, at least. And I want to share it with you all. Yeah, get ready for a very long gushing session, because that's all this review is really gonna be. As we get into Poppy Playtime, Chapter 3, Deep Sleep. Our chapter begins, this time not with a toy commercial, but with a cartoon starring Playtime Co toys from the 80s, known as the Smiling Critters.
S-M-I-L-E every day! When you are down and out, don't even frown and pout. The Smiling Critters here to say S-M-I-L-E every day!
I'll talk more about these guys later, but for now, all you guys need to know is that one of the characters, Catnap, has seemed to got them in a lot of controversy, with both the cartoon and more specifically the accompanying toy line, as his toys, rather than emitting a pleasant smell that helps kids go to sleep, instead, Catnap toys emit this red smoke that once it puts you to sleep will give you violent, horrifying nightmares that will leave you absolutely terrified and in shock when you awake.
Only one thing appears glaringly certain. Your children are not safe with Catnap.
So as long as Playtime Co didn't try to make a bigger body version of that, I think we'll be just fine. Yeah, so it turns out after the train crash from last chapter, Catnap found you, and rather fortunately, and unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, rather than outright killing you, Catnap likes to play with his food. As he first took you and, well, ever see A New Hope? So after refamiliarizing ourselves with the controls, we escape the trash compactor and have a few close calls with Catnap, but then the phone starts ringing. I did not know we got service down here.
Hey, can you hear me? You look kinda lost. I don't want you to die, so I'm gonna help you.
It turns out the person calling us is Gregory.
Oh, and by the way, my name is Ali. Nice to meet you.
So it turns out Gregory is actually a friend of Poppy. You know, the doll that tricked us into coming down here instead of letting us, escape with our lives because she wants us to do something. So clearly we're dealing with very trustworthy people. So Gregory tells us that Poppy's plan is that she wants us to go into play care and complete a few tasks that will allow them to eventually blow this whole factory sky high, putting an end to all of this. Of course, now that another, more violent and dangerous bigger body knows of our existence, we can't really escape anymore and have no choice but to proceed. So we go on this gondola ride to play care, or should I call it Planktopolis, because what the hell?
These children deserve to smile, they deserve to love, and they deserve a safe home. That is why it is with enormous pleasure that as the founder of Playtime Co, I announce Playcare, our very own on-site orphanage.
Actually, yeah, let's get this all out of the way. Atmosphere, oh atmosphere, how Chapter 3 is the crowning jewel. Without any hyperbole, Playcare is by far the best location that we have ever seen in this game. This huge mini Thneedville-esque village designed to be an orphanage for children looks so welcomely uninviting that you have no choice but to just be in awe of it. The sound design is on point, it has a day and night cycle that kind of matches your progression throughout the chapter. They managed to make a place that feels big and expansive, yet lonely and confined at the same time. But on top of all that, one thing that I don't think gets praised enough is how each chapter so far has worked in the playtime part of the name, with each major location you've been exploring being somewhere you would naturally assume children would be, like a bright and colorful toy factory / toy store, a huge playground with games for the kids to play, and of course an orphanage filled with schools, homes, and playhouses for the kids to stay in, which I always thought that part to be very brilliant. At least we can understand where Playtime Co has been getting all these kids from. Classic greedy corporations looking like they're doing something benevolent, but it's really a front to do something malicious. But just how malicious? Well, as we go on throughout the chapter, we'll find out. Because Gregory tells us in order to complete Poppy's plan, we have to move all the red smoke that's stored in Playcare to the other side of the factory. But our first step has us completing a new type of circuit puzzle that lets us rotate the circuits this time, but more importantly, we unlock the purple hand. This hand at special panels gives us a high jump that also removes our fall damage, though we are still cheekily told from the VHS tutorial to watch where we land, as it can't save us from everything. I love the purple hand, as it really is a good way to increase your mobility, and they get pretty creative of the types of puzzles and needing to use this thing at quick moments, and sometimes having to use it to cross gaps you can just barely make it. It's really fun. And after completing a few more puzzles, you go to set the red smoke to move to the other side of the factory, and before you can truly process why the hell this orphanage has nightmare gas, as this is confirmed to be the same red smoke that the Catnap toys that were giving kids nightmares had, the power goes out. Gregory tells you that you have to go and manually reboot the power. Of course we do. And he first starts off by telling us the location we shouldn't go.
Everywhere is pretty dangerous around here. That playhouse especially. Yuck!
And insists we instead head to Home Sweet Home, where the orphans usually stayed and sleep. But upon entering Home Sweet Home, we run into a bit of a problem. Well, nowhere to go but forward, as we walk headfirst into the red smoke, and this segment right here, the nightmare-induced Home Sweet Home segment, in my eyes is what gave Poppy Playtime its true status as a horror game. It's not the classic Mascot horror jump scare heavy stuff that it was doing before. It now is to make you feel as helpless as ever, as you're now forced to walk through these long corridors where any nightmare can be hiding. Yeah, you have no grab pack and you can't sprint. You have to just walk through long corridors of these bloody, scratched up rooms that used to be where the kids slept. Sometimes hearing banging coming from them.
Will you two shut up? People are trying to sleep!
As you end up hearing radio snippets talking about a dead child found at the founder of Playtime Co., Elliot Ludwig's doorstep.
It's sickening. Elliot Ludwig was a great man, and those who knew him understood that he was not capable of violence, let alone what others now claim. He had a deep love in his heart for children like this one, making the actions of whoever planted this body all the more sick.
And starts painting a very odd picture of things that have been going on here, who certain people are, what are their relationships, who Poppy even is. On top of the fact that throughout the whole time, he, Catnap, is stalking you, just barely out of reach, just standing there. Or other times you get, Jesus Christ! Eventually, you find what I can only assume to be the nurse's office, as you get a VHS welcoming new employees to the Playtime Co. factory.
Join the innovationists where the bounds of science are continuously pushed. Or join the counselors of Playcare whose diligence and care for our children will help shape a brighter future. Just you see.
But then the VHS changes, taunting you specifically, the player, about coming back, talking about the horrors that you had a part in unleashing, and how they will come back to kill you now.
Each hungry for your return, each eager that they might find you. Perhaps they'd smile at you from a shadow, their smiling mouths full of teeth and meat and plastic.
As you see the happy but kind of odd looking Huggy Wuggy turn into this nightmare abomination of a face, as the game literally makes it so you can't look away. And right when it catches you off guard,
welcome home.
You have no choice but to run. Run backwards, run forwards, it doesn't matter, just run away from the thing. You try to get as far away as you can as this abomination follows you through the holes that it shouldn't be able to get through, but it's effortlessly catching up, and he bites your head off. Luckily, that was all just a nightmare. So, yeah, I guess we're okay now.
Why don't we take a 5-minute break?
Very good, sir.
Smoke if you got 'em.
We continue our way through Home Sweet Home, trying to get the power back on, narrowly avoiding more of him, as we see this decrepit, what once was, at least on the surface level, a peaceful orphanage, but it turns out the destroyed remains of this place let us get a better picture of what was really going on here, as a lot of the rooms had giant smiling critter statues just watching the kids, and even more messed up, one-way mirrors, so they could watch the kids without them knowing while they sleep and just exist in their room. It is messed up, especially when you really now can piece it all together of what they were doing. All the bigger body experiments were the orphan kids that they pretended to care for. Their watching over them was literal, observing them, studying them, figuring out which ones would be the best candidates for the bigger body experiments. That's why they had the game station. It was there to train their reflexes, to see which kids would be the most valuable. Ironically, the ones that weren't were probably better off, as they were able to be adopted and sent away from this horrible place. But the ones that were seen as good, they were given the red smoke. The red smoke that forcibly put them to sleep so they can take them away and experiment on them, turning them into these abominations that no wonder why the bigger bodies hated the adults so much. So after turning back on the power, we leave Home Sweet Home. Jesus!
No! Let go!
Oh,
They didn't do anything wrong.
okay.
We're actually here to help.
Thank goodness it was just Kissy Missy. So the reason why Kissy helped us last time is because she's friends with Poppy and is trying to help Poppy achieve her goal. And they of course know that they need us to do it. Poppy basically explains what I already did, in that they want to blow this place sky high, and that's what they need the red smoke for, and that's why we need to get full power back to the main machine where the red smoke was. Gregory tells us that the next generator we need to power back on to continue our mission is located in the school. Luckily, Catnap seems to leave that place alone, so we shouldn't have to worry about him. Unfortunately, upon entering, we learn of a different entity that we need to be scared of.
This is Mr. Light speaking. Please excuse the interruption. Students, remain in your seat until the bell has rung. And no going in the halls without a hall pass.
This is Miss Delight, the last remaining of identical teachers in the school. The reason why she looks like this now, and why she is the last remaining one, is because she killed and ate all of her sisters when they got trapped in the school. And there's many things to help us learn how just genuinely psychopathic this woman is.
Wait, I recognize you. Yes, I remember. You used to work here. How are you? Alive. Barb? Oh. Barb says you're looking for your co-workers.
Yeah, she even does that trope of talking to an inanimate object. Isn't that kind of weird?
Shut up, Spaulding.
That and her extensive knowledge of human organs and bones isn't really paint the nicest picture for her. And once we get the generator up and running... Oh, this isn't gonna end well for anyone involved. And thus we get our first proper chase/mini-boss. Miss Delight's whole segment is pretty mechanically dense, as we have to escape the school with her following us. The blatant catch being that she uses Weeping Angel logic. Whenever we're not looking at her, she will start rushing us, and whenever we look at her, she freezes in place. Only problem is that, well, all the puzzles we have to solve involve us needing to look away from her, as we have to daisy chain a bunch of batteries around, opening up shortcuts so we can move around, though keep in mind she can break down doors, so be very careful, as we have to navigate these narrow corridors while keeping her just out of reach of us. All with a pretty good intimidating tune playing in the background. Not to mention her freakish design and the constant growling she makes. But I guess now would be a nice time to mention that this chapter isn't completely perfect, as you'll probably notice that we're basically halfway done the chapter, and only now have we actually reached a true lethal threat. If you play through chapter 3 casually, it'll probably take you 2 to 3 hours to beat it, and assuming it takes you a bit longer, it's not until like the hour and a half mark where you actually reach an actual threat that you're meant to try and be scared and run away from and deal with properly. Nightmare Huggy doesn't count because that was a force loss segment. This is an actual chase sequence, and we only just now got one. On top of that, there's a bit of jank. Miss Delight's hitbox is kind of hit or miss. Sometimes she cheats because you're clearly looking at her, but she still somehow moves and gets you. And in a cheat that is kind of useful to the player, but still clearly not fair, it's very easy to get her stuck in this door, and she will have absolutely no way to chase you down. But if anything, I think this adds to the horror, because throughout the whole time you can still hear her walking towards you, and I have absolutely no idea when the game is just going to correct itself and drop her in front of me. But pacing and glitches aside, this is still a fun sequence. And once you're done daisy chaining all these batteries together, you enter this one long hallway where she will start chasing you even if you are looking at her, and you have to quickly flip a switch to drop a door on her, killing her instantly, as now you're in the caves. On the bright side, you do get another hand attachment, the flare gun. Basically, you get 5 shots from this flare gun, but it automatically recharges after every shot, though it does take a little while, so still be sparing with your ammo, because you never know when you'll be in a section where you really need some ammo, but they catch you during the reload. On top of that, I guess because he's lost track of us, we see Catnap worshipping his god, the prototype, and we get to see what this Lovecraftian amalgamation abomination looks like, at least in Catnap's eyes. But why does Catnap worship him like a god? Well, we'll figure that out in a second, because now we enter the playhouse. We have no choice but to go through no man's land. The reason we were told to stay out of the playhouse is because it's infested with these little freaks. These tiny little destroyed smiling critters who stalk us our entire time in this madhouse. Though, honestly, they kind of look a little cute and want to pet him. But don't get too close to them, because they still won't hesitate to rip your face off. One thing I love about these little guys is the sounds they make. Their little creepy laughs and the growls they have right before they pounce at you. Luckily, your flare gun is the only deterrent you need to scare them off, as one shot can scare a whole crowd of them away.
Yep, sometimes I gotta beat the ladies off with a stick. Back, woman! Back, I said!
Which is good, because you need to traverse these pretty narrow corridors in order to activate 2 switches so you can progress. Progress to the dungeon, because of course a playhouse would need a dungeon, obviously, for when the kids play cops and robbers. And in there we meet Dog Day.
You're Pappy's angel. Come to save us. Nothing left to save. Not here.
Okay, now it's time for me to finally talk about the smiling critters. These are the smiling critters, the main mascots of Chapter 3, and next to Huggy Wuggy, quite possibly the most popular characters that Poppy Playtime has. These multicolored Care Bear inspired goobers definitely made their mark on this franchise, and it's not hard to see why. But first, let's get this part out of the way. No, I don't think it's bad that their designs are kinda unrealistic. Considering how we're in the 3rd chapter by now, I think it's okay for the toys to start going into that uncanny valley. Especially how a lot of the people who don't like the smiling critters because they think they're unrealistic seem to forget that in universe they were a failure. Their show and their toy line was met with very little success and controversy. The whole reason why Playcare is basically built around them, because it's basically Playtime Co. unloading all their unsold stock. And 2, no Patrick, low quality content farms do not diminish the actual quality of the original product. Now that we got all that out the way, I can go over how much I love these little guys. The Smiling Critters consist of 8 members, each representing a different trait. There's Bubba Fint, he's the smart one. Bobby Bearhug, with a name like that, I think you can tell what she likes to do. Crafty Corn, she's the shy artist. Kickin' Chicken and Hoppy Hopscotch take turns of being the energetic, cool idiots. Picky Piggy is meant to teach kids about eating healthy, and she is also legally my daughter. I mean, I got the adoption papers right here. And then we get the 2 most important members, and the only ones we actually meet in this chapter. The leader of the group, Dog Day, and his best friend, and our main antagonist of the chapter, Catnap, who is all about people getting a good night's sleep. While their designs at first glance are a bit jarring, what really made me attached to them is just the overall artwork in general, the varied types of official artwork created for them, just showing these little guys vibing. And there actually is quite a bit of good fan content of them, where some people have taken it upon themselves to make their own versions of what an actual cartoon starring these guys would have been like. I'd say the two channels that do this the best are INUbis and GEMSTIN Productions, who is basically doing his own huge cartoon series involving these guys, doing multiple different animations with his own little redesigns of them that kinda help them fit in more with the late 80s, early 90s aesthetic that was common with most cartoons at the time. His animation on Picky Piggy is the whole reason why she's my favorite, but that's about how the smiling critters in universe are supposed to be. How are they in the game? Well, as I already mentioned, we only meet two. Let's talk about our big bad, shall we? This is Catnap, the main antagonist of Chapter 3. As stated in the opening of the chapter, the Catnap toys ran into a bit of a controversy, as the red smoke that was meant to put kids to sleep in play care accidentally got into actual Catnap toys that were sold on the market. This meant Playtime Co had to quickly cover their tracks and basically scrub Catnap out of the entire lineup. But, of course, he'll always be remembered, and now is probably now the most famous one, helped even more by his bigger body. Catnap, funnily enough, is one of the few bigger bodies we actually have basically the full backstory of why he's working with the prototype and why he wants to kill us. Catnap, aka Experiment 1188, aka Theodore, was a kid in the Playcare system. Eventually, he found out about the horrible atrocities being committed and tried to escape. This did not go well, as Theodore tried using a grab pack but accidentally electrocuted and burnt himself with it. The prototype, in the process of also escaping, took pity onto Theodore and gave up his own freedom to save the kid. This was a double-edged sword, as the prototype was put back into captivity, which made him more bitter, and we will see where that leads. But Theodore was taken, and rather than just healed up, was decided to become Experiment 1188, and was turned into the Catnap bigger body, equipped with the red smoke, and set to watch over Playcare. Of course, because the prototype saved his life, Catnap now views him as a superhero, nay, a god, and that's why he built a shrine to him, and why he kills anyone that may be deemed an enemy to the prototype, which means you. And also, the other toys that do not fall in line with the prototype. They are deemed heretics, i.e. Dog Day. While the toys themselves were meant to be friends, it's unknown what the actual Dog Day and Catnap's relationship was prior, whether they were even friends or not. But what is known is that because Dog Day is on the side of Poppy, who wants to destroy all of this and views you as the one who will save them, he was deemed a heretic, had his legs chopped off by Catnap, and is now being kept barely alive with a belt holding his bottom half together. So when you see Dog Day, he basically tells you you need to run. You just need to live and put an end to all of this. Follow Poppy and stop the prototype's mad plan. Also mentioning that aside from Catnap, he is the last of the bigger body's smiling critters. But before this new ally can get any more information out, the other small smiling critters all come out from their hiding, going inside of him and takes control of his body. And now your new objective? Run for your damn life. As now it's time to escape the playhouse, as the possessed Dog Day chases after you with the sounds of a freight train and is constant choking under his own existence, as well as a few other small smiling critters in your way that you have to quickly take care of, as you have to run through this kinda sort of maze, hoping to not take a wrong turn, or else Dog Day will get you. It's an intense chase, but there is, once again, a bit of jank to this whole thing, as since you're running through these tight corridors, it's very easy to get stuck on them, and I don't think that's fair. Disorientating you is not a problem, it's when you clearly know where you're supposed to go, but you're getting stopped by invisible walls. That really shouldn't count. But once you get to the end of the chase, you have to use your purple hand to spring across the gap, leaving Dog Day behind, as you hear the small smiling critters eat him from the inside out. Damn. It should also be mentioned of the cardboard cutouts that you find in the smiling critters all throughout the chapter, containing their artwork as well as their hidden messages behind them, usually resulting in them screaming in agonizing pain. except for Piggy.
Still hungry. Hey, what do you say you and I be friends?
Then there's Dog Day, who also ends his message screaming in agonizing pain. But the position he's in, all the positions we see him in, god damn, that's what I call good foreshadowing and symbolism. Again, all this is to prove how good of a first impression the Smiling Critters really left for us, and why they are very popular, and why I and many others love them so much. Links to the animations that you should watch of them down below. So now Gregory tells us in order to fully restore the power, we need to go to the counselor's office. And we go in there and after God, we're now in the red smoke again without our gas mask. So we start tripping balls again. And this is when the game kind of gives us our whole, do you even know why you're here? Do you even know of the horrors that were committed? Type spiel, you know.
Do you know what's happened here?
Because funnily enough, we might, allegedly, have our answer to who you, the player, really are.
Do you know who we once were?
Preston W., a biologist hired to help out with the Bigger Body Initiative. Meaning, yes, you are partially, directly responsible for all of these tortured children's fates, for all of these abominations, these sad, tortured monsters existing. It's on you. And that's why you came back. That was why you were so willing to listen to a letter. That is why you listen to Poppy so frequently.
Do you see why we have to end this?
But that doesn't explain everything. What does is back in the Home Sweet Home segment, I didn't mention that some of the radio snippets that were playing were condemning you for not being there on a certain day, an event that happened, the event that made all your other employees go missing, the event you missed.
You were supposed to be here. Why weren't you here? You missed the event. You missed the meeting. You missed the party. You have no right to be here.
8/8/1991. And you came back because of survivors' guilt. You believed that you deserved whatever their fate was because you are no better.
Do you even know what's real? No, you don't.
And that is partially why I think Chapter 3 is so brilliant. It isn't just a survivor horror game. It's a game about survivors' guilt. Anyways, you wake up, Anne. Of course, I live by the ideology that bravery and stupidity are the same thing, and I'm very stupid. So with the power back on, Gregory gives us this big battery so we can finally turn the gas production area back on properly and finish what we came here to do. So I guess it's time to— Jesus Christ almighty! Catnap emerges, filling the whole place up with red smoke and turning into— that! This freakish abomination design. And we have no choice but to go up an elevator. Not actually to run from him, but no, we have to do battle with him. And for the most part, I'd find this is a really fun boss fight. The objective is simple. We have to defend ourselves from Catnap as we charge up the main power station so we can use our green hand to defeat him. Unfortunately, we only have 5 batteries to do this with, and we'll have to use at least 4 of them to charge up the entire station. On top of that, there are 4 giant hallways that Catnap can emerge from, slowly encroaching to us, and if he gets to the main room, it's automatic game over. And to make matters even more confusing, since the whole place is filled with red smoke, and we're seeing things, we're gonna see hallucinations. Ideally, we're gonna see multiple catnaps. Using our flare gun, we can determine which one is real. Whichever one disappears is fake. If he's still there, he's real. There can only be one catnap. Now, to defend ourselves and keep Catnap away, we'll have to either power up the panel or use the battery at whatever hallway Catnap is currently coming from to use clear smoke that will push him away. On top of that, about halfway in, Catnap will start emerging from the ceiling and we just have to pull the trapdoor down before he jumps us. Him using the ceiling is actually the best case scenario because it gives us so much more downtime. As we get closer and closer to charging up the main panel, Catnap will start encroaching on us faster and faster. This battle is pretty intimidating and seems pretty complicated, but once you get it, you really get it. It uses basically everything you've learned up to this point: mastering, micromanaging, and strategizing your battery usage, using your limited green hand on the panels, shooting your flares to keep Catnap away, and you'll have to use the purple hand to jump up in certain areas to hit panels. I'd say the easiest strategy is take this battery out of the light switch because you really don't need the lights, and put it into this panel and you're basically set. As long as you're fast at switching your hands to jump to the high locations, you shouldn't have to worry about getting confused. The only real problem I have with this entire boss fight is what happens if you lose it. Not that it's a particularly hard fight, or that I really think losing is unfair, except for the times he somehow sneaks up on you. Is that when you first get here, you get a pretty long tutorial from Poppy of how this fight works, and it's an unskippable tutorial. So if you die, you have to go through the tutorial again. That little blemish aside, you eventually charge up the main panel, and you fire your green hand at it, uber charging it right as Catnap enters the room, and you actually have to fire it at him. The game won't do it for you, otherwise he will kill you. And you shock the ever-living Christ out of Catnap, lighting him on fire at the same time. Good old trauma to Theodore, I see. And now that he's all burnt up and basically useless, the hand of the prototype comes down, and... Now, I actually don't know if this is meant to be Catnap sacrificing himself to the prototype, or if it's meant to be the prototype betraying Catnap. It's still not clear to me. Well, with that all said and done, we head back down, put the big battery in, and finally move the gas to the other side of the building. And now it's time to go even deeper into the factory to finally put an end to all this. But before we do, it's time for Poppy to finally give us answers to what happened to everyone in the factory. And that is in this VHS known as The Hour of Joy. On one fateful 8th of August, all the toys that were under the control of the prototype rose up, slaughtering every single adult in the factory. All of them. The guilty, the innocent, it did not matter. The scientists that did this to them, the caretakers at Playcare, the people who ran the game station, the regular 9-to-5 employees that had no idea any of this was happening, even random tour guests were all killed that day. The only ones left alive were the children, as they were brought downstairs, hidden away. And now, with all the humans dead, the bigger bodies had only the prototype to lead them, if they so choose. Poppy and a few other toys don't like the control of the prototype, and they don't like what happened on the Hour of Joy. While they hated what those scientists did to them, they don't believe that everyone deserved to die. And that's why they need you. That's why Poppy needs you to help her destroy everything. So, with no other choice, you and Poppy head deeper into the factory, with Poppy promising to send the elevator back up for Kissy to come down afterwards. But right as we start going down, Kissy Missy gets attacked by something, and we don't know what.
No! We're coming! Just hold on! Come on, go faster! Kissy!
And the chapter ends on that note. What can be said about Chapter 3 that I haven't already? It's damn near perfect. I really don't have any problems with its atmosphere, horror, storytelling, even the gameplay, except maybe it being a bit too bottom heavy with all the actual threats that are scary. But it is still scary and atmospheric as all hell in that first half, that it really doesn't bother me that much. The only real problem I have with this chapter are the technical issues that seem to come with every chapter of Poppy Playtime. At this point, I learned that it's probably just part of the experience. And once you ignore that problem, because by God you have to at some points, it just makes Chapter 3 the reason why Poppy Playtime is my favorite Mascot horror game and probably favorite horror thing ever. Again, I'm not really too big into the horror genre, but I love this game so much. Good story, good characters, good gameplay, good sound design. Just good design. And now with Chapter 5 just around the corner, my hype for this series has gone up immensely again. But, of course, before we get to Chapter 5, we have an interesting Chapter 4 to look at. One that I think went through many trials and tribulations, and I think I and many others are still kind of mixed on. And it really is up to debate of how good it truly is.
Hiya there, pal. Follow me.
But that's a story for another day. All you need to know is Chapter 3 is peak, the redemption that Poppy Playtime needed. Now, I'm your average bonehead Jay, and I wish you all good night. Oh, you're still here. Well, since you stuck around for this long, you might as well like and subscribe, comment if you're feeling really daring. And while you're at it, you might as well follow me on Twitter and Instagram at jayskeletyn. Links down below. And if you just want to see more, you can check out the playlists or look at my last video. Now thanks for watching, and if you need me, I'm going back to bed